I did not start Uka because my family was poor. I started because I was not satisfied. At that time, I was in my first year in university. My parents tried for me. They sent my school fees on time. They sent me small money here and there. We were not suffering. But I wanted more than they could give. My boyfriend then was gentle and kind, but he was also broke. If I needed airtime, I would remind him 2 or 3 times before he sent 1,000 naira. If I complained, he would say, "Babe, manage me. When I blow, you will enjoy." I did not want to manage. I wanted to enjoy immediately. On campus, I was always watching. Girls in my department would step down from tinted cars like they were entering a movie scene. Long human hair, different styles every week, designer slippers, the latest iPhone in their hands. They moved with confidence. Boys respected them. Lecturers even smiled at them differently. I started comparing my life to others. My phone was an older iPhone my dad bought for my birthday. It worked fine, but it was not the newest one. When I brought it out in class, I would notice who was holding the latest version. It began to bother me more than it should have. My friend Portia did not understand me. We came from the same secondary school. She dressed simply and tied scarf on her head most days. She used a small button phone and did not care. When I complained, she would say, "Relax. We will finish in 4 years. Things will get better." 4 years sounded like a punishment. In Nigeria, you can even finish and still sit at home. I did not want to wait and hope. I wanted to see the results now. That was when I started paying attention to Rita. Rita is in our department too. Everybody knew her. She did not talk too much, but when she walked into a place, people looked. She changed wigs like it was nothing. She had 2 cars that I personally saw with my eyes. One week, she would come with a white one. The next week, a black one. Her nails were always done. Her phone was always the latest. At first, I just admired from a distance. Then I started observing carefully. I noticed the kind of girl she moved with. I noticed the men who came to pick her up. I noticed how she dressed when going for lectures versus how she dressed at night. I noticed she never looked worried about money. She never rushed. She always looked settled. One evening, I saw her at a restaurant close to campus. She was with an older man. He was laughing at everything she said. She was calm, confident, not shy. When he dropped her, she entered her car and drove off alone. That night, I could not sleep. I kept thinking about my life, about asking my boyfriend for airtime, about begging my parents for extra money, about watching other girls live the life I wanted. I told myself something that night. If other girls could do it, why not me? The next day, I saw Rita in school. She was standing with 2 girls, laughing. I watched her for some minutes. My heart was beating fast, but my mind was already made up. I walked up to her. "Hi, Rita," I said. She looked at me like she was trying to place my face. "Yes." I swallowed. "I want to talk to you." She studied me for a few seconds. "About?" I held her gaze. About how you live." The girls beside her went quiet. Rita's eyes did not change, but her expression became serious. "What do you mean?" she asked. I did not look away. "I want you to teach me." Rita did not answer me immediately that day. She looked at me from head to toe, not in an insulting way, but like she was calculating something. The 2 girls beside her quietly excused themselves. She told me to walk with her. We walked toward the back of the faculty building where it was less crowded. "You think it is easy?" she asked. I did not respond quickly. I did not want to sound desperate. I did not say it is easy. I just said I want to learn. She folded her arms. "Why?" "I want money," I said simply. "I want to live well." She kept looking at me. Her face was calm but sharp. "Money for what?" Are you hungry? No. Your parents are not paying your fees. They are. So what exactly is the problem? I hesitated, then said the truth. I am tired of being average. She did not smile. She just nodded slowly, like she was checking something in her head. After a moment, she said, "This thing is not for emotional people, oh." I kept quiet. You cannot be jealous. You cannot fall in love. You cannot start feeling special because one man is nice to you. You cannot start crying later that somebody used you. Can you detach? The question was direct. I thought about it. I had already slept with men before. I was already sleeping with my boyfriend. No one paid me. No one asked if I was okay after. I told myself I was strong. Yes, I said. She did not argue. She just said, think about it well, oh. If you start, you cannot be confused. That night, I went back to my boyfriend's room. He was happy to see me. He hugged me and started talking about his plans. How after school we would hustle together. How we would build something from nothing. He talked about how lucky he was to have me. I lay beside him while he spoke. I watched his mouth move. I waited to feel something, guilt, love or fear. I felt nothing. He rested his head on my chest and said, "You know I can't wait for our future." I looked at the ceiling. I did not see any future day. I just saw delay. He fell asleep later, one hand still on my waist. I stayed awake for a long time. I knew what Rita meant by detach. I was already halfway there. The next morning, I woke him up. "I don't want to do this again," I said. He frowned. "Do what?" "This relationship," I replied. He sat up properly. "What happened?" "Nothing happened. I just don't want it." He kept asking questions. If someone else was involved, if he offended me, if we could fix it. I just repeated, "I don't want it." He looked confused and hurt. I watched him struggle to understand, and I felt strangely calm. I packed a few things I kept in his room and left. Outside, I took my phone and opened Rita's contacts. I typed, "I am ready." She replied almost immediately, "Tonight." Then she sent a location in Lagos. After a few seconds, another message entered, "Dress expensive, even if you are not." That night was my first night entering a club with a purpose. I dressed the best I could. A tight black dress I had only worn once, heels that were slightly uncomfortable, but looked good. I did my makeup slowly and carefully. I kept remembering Rita's words in my head. Do not look desperate. Do not look confused. When I reached the location she sent, the place was filled with expensive cars. For a moment, I stood by the entrance and adjusted my bag. I almost turned back. But I remembered my boyfriend's face that morning. I remembered asking for airtime. I walked in. The air inside was thick with perfume and smoke. Men sat in sections with bottles on their tables. Girls moved around confidently, like they belonged there. Rita was already seated at a corner table. She looked relaxed, like this was her office. She glanced at me and nodded. "Sit straight. Don't scan the room too much. Let them look at you." I tried to calm my breathing. Within 30 minutes, I started noticing eyes on me, not random glances, focused looks. I kept my face neutral. Then he came. He looked to be in his late 40s, clean haircut, gold wristwatch, calm expression. He did not rush his words. "Good evening," he said. "Good evening," I replied. He sat opposite me and studied me briefly. "How much?" he asked quietly. My throat went dry for a second. I mentioned a number Rita and I had discussed earlier. He did not argue. He did not negotiate. 250, he said. "Hotel nearby." My heart was beating loudly in my ears, but my face remained still. "Okay," I answered. We left separately and met at the hotel entrance. Everything felt like slow motion. The receptionist did not even look surprised. Inside the room, I focused on staying calm. This was business. I reminded myself of that again and again. He did not try to extend beyond what was agreed. I insisted on protection. He did not resist. We went to the bed and did the do. When it was over, he went straight to his wallet, counted the money neatly, and handed it to me. No long talk. "Take care," he said before leaving. I stood alone in that hotel room for a few seconds after the door closed. I counted the money twice. 250,000 naira. I placed it carefully inside my bag and walked out like nothing happened. Outside, the night air felt different. I had just made more in one night than my parents sent me in months. In the Uber back to my hostel, I kept touching my bag to be sure the money was still there. When I got to my room, I locked the door and went straight to the mirror. I stared at my reflection for a long time. My makeup was still intact. I did not look broken. I did not look different. I leaned closer to the mirror and said softly to myself, "That was easy." The second client came 3 days later. This time, I did not wait for Rita to signal me. I walked into the club like I belonged there. I sat straighter. I did not keep checking my phone. I ordered a drink and sipped it slowly, even though my stomach was tight. The man who approached me was younger than the first one, maybe late 30s, loud, confident in a different way. He talked too much and laughed too hard. He asked my price. I told him. He reduced it immediately. I looked at him and said, "Then find someone else." I surprised myself with how steady my voice sounded. He studied me for a moment, then shrugged. "Okay." We agreed on 200,000. The hotel room was not as calm as the first one. It was rougher. I quickly understood something important that night. Smiling at the right time makes men softer. Whispering the right words makes them think you are enjoying yourself. So I performed. I laughed when he wanted me to laugh. I held him when he wanted to feel wanted. I made my voice sound convincing. Inside, I was counting minutes. When it ended, he transferred the money instead of cash. I waited until the alert entered before I picked up my bag. On my way back, I felt less nervous than the first night. I was already adjusting. Within 1 month, I had seen different types of men. Quiet ones, talkative ones, married ones who complained about their wives. I learned quickly. I learned how to negotiate without sounding desperate. I learned how to increase my price if the man looked too eager. I learned how to act interested without caring. The money started coming in properly. One afternoon, I walked into a phone store and bought the latest iPhone. I paid in full. When the sales boy handed me the sealed pack, my chest felt full. The next day in class, I placed the phone casually on my desk. Portia noticed immediately. "Ah," she said, touching it. "When did you change phone?" "Last week," I replied. "With whose money?" she asked lightly, but her eyes were searching my face. "It was a gift," I said. "From who?" I smiled. "Why are you interrogating me?" She hesitated. "I just hope you are okay. You have been different lately." "I'm fine," I said quickly. "Things are just better." She nodded slowly, but she did not look convinced. That night in my room, I went through my gallery. I deleted old pictures of my ex, the selfies, the videos, the screenshots of our chats. I even deleted his number. It felt like clearing space for something new. Later that week at the club, Rita sat beside me and watched as a man excused himself from a table and came straight to me. Then he left with me. When I returned, she was smiling, but not fully. "You are learning fast," she said. Then she added almost casually, "Don't get greedy." After a few weeks, I stopped moving around with Rita. At first, it was natural. Sometimes she would already have someone at her table. Sometimes I would arrive earlier. But gradually, I realized I did not need her to guide me anymore. I understood the environment. I knew which men were just showing off and which men had real money. I learned to check shoes, watches, how they spoke to waiters. Real money did not shout too much. Fake money always did. I started increasing my price slowly, not too much at once, just enough to test the waters. Some men walked away, the serious ones stayed. I also began screening better. I asked more questions before agreeing to anything. Where are we going? How long? Payment method. I refused last-minute changes. If something felt off, I declined politely. The money improved. There were nights I went home with more than waiter. I could feel the shift between us. One evening at the club, she leaned closer and said, "You have been busy lately." I smiled. "We are all here to work." She tapped a glass lightly. "Which men are you seeing these days?" "Different people," I replied. "Where do they take you?" "Hotels," I said simply. She looked at me carefully. "You know you don't have to hide from me, right?" I held a gaze. I am not hiding anything, but I was. I did not want to share contacts anymore. I did not want competition. This was business. Then one night changed everything. That night in Lagos, the club was louder than usual. A birthday party was happening on one end. Bottles were popping. The DJ kept shouting names. 3 different men approached me within 1 hour. The first one was too drunk. I declined politely. The second one tried to negotiate too much. I told him no. The third one kept touching my arm while talking. I stood up and walked away before he finished the sentence. I was not desperate anymore. That was the difference. I returned to my seat and ordered another drink. A few minutes later, someone sat beside me. I assumed it was another man and prepared my usual expression, calm and neutral. But when I turned, it was a woman. She looked to be in her mid-30s, well-dressed but not flashy. Her hair was neatly styled. She did not look like someone who belonged to the noise of that club. She looked straight at me, not judging, not smiling, just observing. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she leaned slightly closer and asked in a quiet voice, "What is your rate?" I did not react immediately when she asked for my rate. I looked at her properly. Her makeup was light. Her jewelry was simple but expensive. She did not look nervous, but she kept glancing around like she did not want to be seen there. I told her my price. She did not blink. She did not negotiate. "Come," she said. I picked up my bag and followed her outside. She led me to a black car parked a little distance from the entrance. It was clean and expensive. She opened the back door. A man was already sitting inside. He looked to be in his early 40s, well dressed in a suit even though it was late. He looked at me and smiled. I entered the car and sat beside him. The woman went to sit in the front passenger seat. A driver was behind the wheel. After a few seconds, no one spoke. Then the man cleared his throat softly. The driver stepped out of the car without being told. The woman turned slightly in her seat to face me. "That is my husband," he said calmly. I nodded. "My husband and I want you for the night." There was no embarrassment in her voice. "We will triple your money," she added. My mind calculated quickly. Triple. 900,000 naira. I had never made that much from one client before. I looked at the man again. He was still smiling at me, calm, watching my reaction. Something about it made me slightly uncomfortable. Not enough to leave, just enough to notice. "Okay," I said. The driver returned and the car started moving. The ride was quiet. The woman faced forward. The man rested his arm casually on the seat, not touching me. As we drove further, the streets became less busy. Fewer cars, fewer lights. Eventually, we turned into a road that looked almost empty. Large houses spaced far apart. Then even those stopped. Their house stood alone. It was big. The kind of mansion you see from the outside and know it costs more than you can imagine. Tall gates, high walls, security lights. The gate opened slowly and we drove in. As soon as the car entered fully, the gate shut behind us. For the first time that night, my chest tightened. We got down from the car. The man adjusted his suit jacket. The woman walked ahead confidently. Inside, the house was silent and neat. No staff walking around. They led me straight upstairs, directly to a bedroom. The wife turned to me and said in a calm voice, "Shower first." I came out of the bathroom wearing only the towel they provided. The bedroom was large and quiet. The curtains were drawn tightly. The air conditioner was on. The husband was already on the bed, undressed, leaning back against the headboard. The wife sat on a single chair facing the bed. Her legs were crossed. Her hands rested neatly on her lap. She did not look embarrassed. She did not look angry. She just watched. For a brief second, I felt exposed in a different way. I had been with married men before, but the wife was never present. The husband smiled at me again. "Come," he said gently. I dropped the towel and joined him on the bed. I focused on staying calm. This was business. I told myself that repeatedly. The wife did not move. She did not interrupt. She simply watched. There was no shouting, no strange instructions. The husband was not rough. He behaved almost formally, like this was an arrangement they had discussed many times before. Still, I could feel her eyes on me the entire time. It made me more aware of every movement. I adjusted my expressions carefully. I performed like I always did. 30 minutes later, it was over. The husband got up first and went into the bathroom. The wife stood slowly and walked toward the bedside drawer. She brought out an envelope and placed it on the table. When I finished dressing, she handed it to me. I opened it slightly. 900,000 naira. Complete. No negotiation. No delay. As I was about to leave the room, she reached for my hand. Her grip was firm, a little longer than necessary. "Never mention this house," she said quietly. "Never mention us." "I won't," I replied. Then she took my number and said, "We will call you." She held my eyes for a few seconds before letting go. The driver drove me back. The ride back was silent again. He dropped me off not too far from the club area. In the Uber back to my hostel, I opened the envelope again. I counted the money once, then again, then a third time. It was real. I leaned back against the seat and allowed myself to smile slightly. I felt powerful. 900,000 naira for one night. I did not tell Rita anything, but she had seen me live with a woman. The next time we met at the club, she asked immediately, "How was it?" "It was fine," I said. "Fine how?" "They were a couple. They paid well." "How well?" I mentioned an amount, but not the full amount. Her eyebrows lifted. "That is all." I shrugged. "It was decent." She studied my face like she was trying to read something behind it. "Where do they stay?" "Somewhere on the island," I replied vaguely. She leaned back in her seat. "You are becoming secretive." I smiled lightly. "It is just business." She did not push further, but I could feel the distance between us growing. It was no longer mentor and learner. It felt like competition. Weeks passed. No call from the couple. At first, I checked my phone often. I wanted that money again. But as days turned into weeks, I focused on other clients. Money was still coming in. School was moving. I almost convinced myself that they were just a one-time experience. Sometimes, late at night, I would remember the wife's steady gaze, the way she held my hand before I left. It made me slightly uneasy, but I brushed it aside. Then one afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I stepped outside my hotel room before answering. "Hello." "It is me," the woman's voice said calmly. I recognized it immediately. "Yes, ma," I replied without thinking. "We want you tomorrow." There was no small talk. "Okay," I said. "Same time, you know the way." The call ended. I stood there for a few seconds staring at my phone. I already had another booking scheduled for the next evening, a regular client who paid well. I did not hesitate. I texted him, something urgent came up. I won't be available tomorrow. He tried to convince me to reschedule. I refused politely. 900,000 naira flashed in my mind again. The next night, I dressed carefully. When I arrived at the gate, it opened almost immediately, like they had been watching. The house looked the same. Inside, it did not feel rushed like the first time. They did not take me upstairs immediately. Instead, the wife led me into the dining area. The table was already set, 3 plates, 3 glasses, food arranged neatly in the center. They were both seated, waiting. Sit, she said calmly. I hesitated for a second, then pulled out the chair. This time, it did not feel like business. It felt like something else. Dinner felt normal. The husband smiled more than before. The wife spoke softly, almost kindly. If someone walked in, they would think we were family friends sharing a meal. Eat, the wife said, serving me herself. I thanked her and picked at the food carefully. I was not hungry. The husband asked, so where are you from? I mentioned a town far from where I actually grew up. Oh, he said, do your parents still live there? Yes, I replied. What do they do? Farming, I said without hesitation. The wife's eyes stayed on my face while I answered. Are you close to them? She asked. Yes. How often do you go home? Not often. Work keeps me busy. She nodded slowly. Do they send you money? Sometimes, I replied. The husband leaned back in his chair. Do you have siblings? No, I said again. Do your parents depend on you? The wife asked quietly. I forced a small smile. No, I am the one depending on them. She held my gaze for a few seconds longer than necessary. The questions continued. Where do you stay in Lagos? Do you live alone? Do you have a roommate? Do you have many friends? I answered carefully, not too detailed, just enough to sound believable. I could feel something shifting. The first night was about money. This night felt like an interview. When the dinner ended, I expected them to stand and lead me upstairs like before. Instead, the wife stood and said, come. She did not move toward the staircase that led up. She walked toward the hallway at the back of the house. The husband followed quietly. I picked up my bag and followed them. At the end of the hallway was another door. The wife opened it. There were stairs leading down. My stomach tightened. We will use downstairs tonight, she said casually. It was too quiet. She led me into one of the rooms. It looked like a bedroom. Shower first, she said again. I nodded and walked into the attached bathroom. As I stepped inside, I noticed there was no window. The bathroom was clean, towels folded neatly, everything arranged properly. I placed my bag on the counter. For a brief moment, I considered stepping back outside and saying I did not feel well, but I did not want to look unstable. It was still money. I reminded myself of that. I locked the bathroom door behind me, even though I was not sure why. I tried to relax. About 5 minutes in, I noticed a slight heaviness in my head. I assumed it was stress. I had not eaten much. The room felt warmer than before. Then, the dizziness came fully. The walls seemed to tilt slightly. I blinked hard, trying to clear my vision. The tiles in front of me looked like they were shifting. I reached for the wall to steady myself. My legs felt weak. I turned off the shower quickly and stepped out. My breathing became uneven. Something was wrong. I tried to take a step toward the sink, but my knees almost gave way. I grabbed the counter to stop myself from falling. My heart started beating fast. I have showered in strange places before. I have eaten in different houses. This feeling was not normal. The thought entered my mind quietly but clearly. I have been dragged. I moved toward the door. Each step felt heavy, like I was walking through thick sand. I reached for the handle. My fingers could not close properly around it. I tried again. The handle felt far away, even though it was right there. I opened my mouth to shout. No sound came out. My tongue felt low, my jaw heavy. Panic rose quickly in my chest. I forced myself to focus. Just open the door. Just step outside. My hand slipped off the handle. The room started spinning faster. The lights blared. I tried to scream again, but my voice would not form properly. My legs finally gave way. I hit the floor, cold tiles against my skin. Then everything went quiet. Silence. When I opened my eyes, I did not know where I was. For a few seconds, everything was blank. My head felt heavy, like someone had placed a weight inside it. There was a door pounding behind my eyes. The room was darker than before. I blinked slowly, trying to remember. Dinner, questions, basement, shower, the dizziness. My heart began to beat faster. I looked down at myself. I was no longer naked. I was wearing a long gown. It was not mine. My bag was not inside. I tried to sit up properly. As soon as I shifted my leg, I heard it. Clink. A small but sharp metal sound. I froze. I moved again, slower this time. Clink. The sound came from near my ankle. I lifted my head and looked down. A metal chain was locked around my right ankle. It was attached to the side of the bed frame. For a moment, my brain refused to process it. I blinked again, thinking maybe I was still dizzy. Maybe I was dreaming. Maybe I was imagining it. I pulled my leg gently. The chain tightened immediately. Panic rose so fast, it felt like it would choke me. I tried to stand up, forgetting about the chain. My body jerked forward and the metal snapped tight, dragging my ankle back toward the bed. Pain shot up my leg. I looked around the room quickly. No windows, plain walls, a closed door at the far end. No sound from outside. My breathing became uneven. This was not a misunderstanding. This was not a joke. I opened my mouth to scream. Nothing happened. I tried again, forcing air out of my lungs. Still nothing. That was when I realized something was wrong. My jaw would not open. It felt blocked. I tried to move my lips and felt resistance. Something hard inside my mouth. My hands flew to my face. My mouth would not open. My fingers moved desperately around my mouth. There was something inside, hard, thick, holding my jaw apart, but preventing it from opening properly. It felt like a mouth guard forced between my teeth. I tried to pull it out. It did not move. My hands slid to the sides of my face and then behind my head. That was when I felt it. A small padlock, fastening the straps at the back. For a few seconds, I froze. Then I started pulling at it. I dug my fingers under the straps, trying to loosen them. The edges pressed deeply into my mouth. Pain shot through my mouth. I tasted blood almost immediately. I kept trying. The more I struggled, the more it cut into my skin. I forced myself to slow down, but the panic was rising too quickly. I looked down at the chain again. I grabbed it with both hands and pulled hard. The metal scraped against my ankle. My skin burned where it rubbed. I pulled again, harder this time, ignoring the pain. The bed did not move. The chain did not loosen. I stopped and listened. Nothing. No voices upstairs. No footsteps. Just silence. I turned my head slowly, scanning the room again. My bag was gone. My phone was gone. I did not know what time it was. I did not know how long I had been unconscious. My mind began racing. Did they plan this from the first night? Were the questions at dinner to confirm something? Did they know my real name? Did anyone even know I was here? I tried to scream again, but the sound stayed trapped inside my mouth. Tears started falling without permission. I had walked into this house on my own. I had followed them downstairs. Now I was chained to a bed in the basement, gagged like an animal, with no idea why. I forced myself to listen again. At first, nothing. Then faintly, I heard something. Footsteps coming from outside the basement room. My entire body went still. The steps stopped right in front of the door. I heard the soft sound of a hand touching the handle. Then slowly, it began to turn. Babe, I have to go somewhere and I have to leave the house now. So I'm going to leave the story here. This story is quite long. I am going to continue another time. So stay tuned. Leave your thoughts down below about what you think about this story. And now, Abi, you know that this is a judgment-free zone. We listen, we don't judge. So please be kind to her in the comment section. And babe, if you've not subscribed yet, come and join the family. Please subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Okay, I'm done. Bye.